All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about how we can mirror some objects, create patterns, and look at kind of our polygon shape. So we're going to start off with just a simple rectangle where we're going to then offset that rectangle, um, and then we have a pattern within that path. So imagine that we're creating something where we have the outer boundaries of uh, our piece of wood or plastic, whatever it is, and we want to inlay a pattern within that. So what we'll see is I have my rectangle that I've created and I have my dimensions. I'm going to offset that by clicking on the rectangle and either dragging or I can type in a dimension. Again, negative is going to go one direction and then positive is going to go the other direction. So I just set it at a 1/2 inch inset. And then what I'm going to do is use the polygon command. So for polygons, I have three ways I can create a polygon. I can have a circle that is inscribed, a circle that is circumscribed, and then I can basically specify the edge of a polygon. So in this case, I'm going to set the center point and start dragging out. And from there, I can specify that distance. I can type it in. And then I can hit tab and change the number of sides on my polygon. The default is going to be a hexagon with 6 sides. So as we bring it across, um, we'll see that we can change it to a square. We can change it whatever we want, and we can tab back and forth until we get the polygon that we want set in that upper corner. So once I have that, I want to basically have it make a pattern across that interior part of my rectangle. So I'm going to drag from the upper left to the bottom right, and then hit that pattern, that rectangular pattern. And then I have two options. I can drag with an arrow, and I have to go up and I can go down. So again, that rectangular pattern is only going to give you those two dimensions that you can work with. And then I'm going to do it again and change some of my options. So I'm going to select it, go down to rectangular pattern, and you'll see that I have two options. I have extent and I have spacing for how I can specify how the pattern is created. So if I put on spacing and start dragging it across, it's going to make, in this case, three of my polygons at the whatever spacing I set. So if I make 4 at 3 inches, that's going to give me a full distance as it goes across. And I can also specify the extent. So I can go in both directions. I can make it symmetric or make it go down. And you can see that now I'm specifying that distance. I can't drag it with the arrow because I've set that spacing, but I can change the number of elements in my pattern. So I've created a simple pattern where I didn't have to copy and paste my polygon. I was able to just utilize the built-in command. The next one we're going to do is we're going to make a circle. And with that circle, we're going to create a circular pattern. So we need something that we are going to be able to move around the circle. So I'm going to go from the center of my circle and go straight up and then basically create a circle with a different radius. And then go down to circular pattern. I'm going to select my circle. So I'm going to drag across it just to select the circle and then select the path of that center point. And then you'll see it's going to automatically, again, give me 3 to start with. I can toggle that up to be 4, 5, whatever I want. If I was doing something like a clock face, I could set that at 12. And I'll have 12 equally spaced out circles in that circular pathway. If we down the road, we would see we have a pattern on path when we're talking about 3 dimensions. So you could have a pathway and then you'd be able to specify something that follows a pathway, but you won't have that option with your 2-dimensional pieces here. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at how we mirror objects. So I'm going to make a polygon. In this case, I made the edge. So I'm going to specify the edge for my polygon and then basically the number of sides, and it will create that polygon for me. So I've made a polygon. And what I need to do is I want to have it reflected or mirrored over a line. And so I need to give it a line for it to do the mirroring with. So once I get the kind of dimensions and pieces where I want it to be, I'm just going to hit the L key to create a line. And I'm going to give it 2 lines here, so we'll mirror it twice. So I have my lines. And then I'm going to select my polygon. I didn't get the whole thing there, so I'm going to draw my box again and hit the mirror command, which is those 2 triangles, and hit my line, and there it goes. It's reflected that line across. And I'm going to do it again, select my polygon, hit the mirror command, and then hit the line, and there we go. So I have my the ability to have a shape move around. In this case, where I'm mirroring over, imagine like that is folding over those other pieces. All right, let's say that I have my I can change it. You see that I've adjusted my original polygon and my other ones have updated as well. So it still has a dynamic link to that. All right, let's think about how do we actually get this sketch that we did out of Fusion into another platform that we could use. So what we're going to do is create some text. I just go down to the text key, the text, create text, and then I can put in whatever I want. I have lots of different fonts that I can choose from. You can import your own fonts if you know how to do that. And you can specify, just like you would in like a Google Doc or a Word document, the alignment. You can specify the font, and then you can specify the size. And you can see that you'll produce text. Um, It'll give you that bounding box. And again, that bounding box is dashed, which means it would be that construction line. It's not a line that we would be able to utilize down the road, but it gives us a sense of what our bounding box would look like for that. This is me hitting the move command. So I've selected my move. I have different move options. I can drag it around in the cardinal directions. I can move it and I can rotate. You see that rotation key at the front? I can rotate, just rotating. So I have the ability to rotate the text. And then I also have the ability to type in a text of what I'm looking for. And then I can also, if I hit move again, hit M, I can move it point to point. So I can click this point and move it there. I can also put it to, that was one that I use a bunch where I'm going to, uh, basically I can put a point to a position. So if I'm looking in absolute coordinates, I can have those points move to whatever point I need it to. That one is not moved. That is not used a ton that I use, but the point to point and then the free kind of translate you're going to use a bunch as you go through it. So we've finished our sketch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to export our sketch as a DXF, which is a vector file that we can then bring into other platforms. And all of our geometry and our dimensions will come through. So we save as a DXF. We're going to save a local file on your computer somewhere. And then once you have that, you'll be able to open it in different platforms. So I'm going to save my file. And now I'm just going to use an online program to pull that up. And you'll see there's my file. It looks like it's jagged, but as I zoom in, those vectors update. You can see it's brought in my construction line as an actual line. But as I zoom in and zoom out, because that's a vector file, it's going to redraw those lines and there will be smooth lines that we can then use with something like a laser engraver as we move forward.